Sam joining us for a conversation centered around grief and connection with your loved ones from the other side. I met Sam on TikTok. The funniest story, actually, I would like to share with you guys for just a moment. I've been watching some of Sam's videos come across my feed for about a month, and she had been talking about some books that she was recommending to people. So I thought, oh, let me gift her my book, Pink Lion, and see if it resonates with her at all. So I offered to gift her one, and we were going back and forth on how to get her a copy. And I discovered that she sent me her address actually, and I discovered that she lived just 2 cities away. So she's about 15 minutes from me, and we opted to meet in person, and I just fell in love with her. She is such a fantastic person. And I thought it was so important to share her story with all of you. And I'd like to introduce you to Sam. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Sam, your husband passed on April 2nd, 2024, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And we share that particular weekend. Um, in grief, actually, because my father-in-law, who started my whole mediumship journey, died just a few days before on March 28th of 2024. So, Sam, people will probably tell you, you're just grieving. You're not connecting with your husband. Tell me about your journey in grief. How did things go from that day to now for you?
I would say the first time I was opened up to even the notion of receiving signs was a couple years before my husband got sick when my
Mhm.
dog passed away. And I read the book Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson.
Me
Uh,
too.
yeah, it definitely opens your eyes, but it
Yeah.
wasn't, as impactful as it might have been because it was our dog and it just wasn't, the same scenario. But it opened me up to it, I think. And after he passed away, it was just a heavy fog of grief. I had friends trying to recommend therapists and things to me, and I just thought nobody could help me. But I was very lucky to be introduced to who I've seen. She is a hypnotherapist and energy healer, and people call her the fairy godmother. So I thought that's the right person for me. And she just really got me kind of opened up to a different world. I was extremely skeptical. I was very in my logical mind, and I felt the
Mm.
same way. Like I tried to prove to myself over and over that what I was experiencing was just my grief. And it was like a whole year kind of reading and having experiences and me telling myself, no, you're just crazy until it got so undeniable that I couldn't brush it off anymore.
Yeah, it's like nothing is a coincidence, we've learned, right? Everything is a synchronicity orchestrated by the universe. We'll just call the universe as in one thing, right? Universe. Okay. But when you first started communicating, or when your husband started communicating and you became aware that this was a communication, what did that look like for you?
The first couple were songs, and I would either be in the car or I would be in the house and just have like a station playing and walk into the room at just the right moment, or be like deep in a thought, and then a certain song would come on. And, that was enough to catch my attention, but,
But
not enough for me to not doubt.
well, let me ask you this. So when you say you had this thought and then this song would be on, what were you thinking?
Like something specific about my husband, and then the words of the song would almost answer me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like I told my sister that I think he's sending me Pink songs, and at the same time, I had seen a medium on here who would play clips of her interviews, and somebody had a reference of the song Seal, Kiss from a Rose. And I was driving one time and a Pink song came on, and I genuinely felt like this was my husband. And I started crying, and I think even talking to him out loud. And then the next song was Seal, Kiss from a Rose. So it was just like validation after validation. And
Yeah.
then they started getting more obvious. I would ask for specific songs and receive them that day, like songs I hadn't heard in years.
Oh, see, that's really cool. When that happens, that's when you really know because it's
Yes.
so specific and you just
Yes.
asked for it. Yeah.
And
And
I'm
those are
sure
the
you
easy
tell
ones.
your
Those are
owl.
Yeah, I wanna hear about the owl, but those are the easy pickings, I think. Those are the easy ones for them to answer versus maybe something a little harder like a pink line, right? It's, like, harder. So, as you progressed, what came next?
So one of the big ones was, I'd say maybe 6 months after he passed away. It was just a complete hard transitional time,
Yeah.
obviously. But in addition to him dying, our son started kindergarten a couple months later. So, kindergarten's always a hard transition, but for us, it was this extra layer. And he was sick, as many 5-year olds are, like the entire year, just cold after cold and respiratory illness. And there was a span of maybe almost 3 weeks that he was out of school sick, and this was the hardest thing I had encountered since my husband had been gone, to deal with this alone. He was up at night a lot coughing, and I wasn't sure if I should take him to the ER, and
Mhm.
it's just very stressful. And I now know that they come to us more when we are feeling so deeply.
Mm.
But I had actually put on his robe. I know, so dramatic, but his robe is something that I feel he was very tied to. And I went outside and was just crying at night to him out loud. And it just dawned on me I wanted to ask for a specific sign. So I asked for an owl. I said, send it right now. And he's almost that good. I had never seen an owl in my life, and the next day I had forgotten about this, asking for this, and kind of a repeat Groundhog's Day. The same thing the next night. We're having a hard night. Put my son to bed, and then my dog barked to go outside, which was unusual. And right as I opened the door, an owl flew past us and
Wow.
landed on the garden trellis that my husband had built me, and just stared at my dog and I for quite a while.
Wow, Sam, he is so strong on the other side, I'm telling you, you have such a good connection with him.
Yes. And I do believe everybody can receive signs from their loved ones and learn to notice them. I do also think there is an aspect of it that has to do with the strength of our bond, and, you know, that we still have things to say to each other.
Right, right, and I do feel that that also is why they kinda still stayed tethered to us, to a way, their human form or their human thing, but you must also still need it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't sudden, but it felt sudden because it was just 7 months from diagnosis to him passing, and we were just scrambling in those 7 months. So there were no, conversations that we got, like final conversations or anything like that.
yeah, so now he completely is by your side because he knows you need it, especially for your son, because it's hard being now a single mom,
Yeah.
you
And a
know?
lot of people I think have, certain faith or whatever before. I didn't. I was open-minded but didn't have any sort of beliefs. I didn't have any sort of beliefs, but so I feel like I was very desperate to find out where he was and if he was okay, and he's been doing that.
Let me ask you another question because I know in part of him kind of opening your eyes, so to speak, up to this whole new world for you. It also allowed you to meet new people. It allowed you to go deeper into yourself for more answers. And what does that look like for you?
A complete life change.
Yeah.
Um, because at first you kind of just feel like you're going crazy, and that, it is what people think, like you're just grasping at straws to make yourself feel better.
Right.
But the more you read and the more like-minded people you talk to, there's just too many similarities across time and space, So for
Hmm.
me, it was just confirming and confirming over the last year, tons of reading, therapy. I've done hypnotherapy, which was one of the things I've been most excited about.
Yeah.
Um, like, I do believe everybody has these gifts, but
Yeah.
there's so much doubt and stuff in the way. That was a really good way for me to open up my mind. I've seen you do it on your lives too, like kind of hypnotherapy techniques with people. And at first, I couldn't even imagine a lemon in my brain. And now I've had experiences where I've visited with him in my subconscious brain.
That's right. Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
about being open. That's all I'm doing is just helping people visualize first. Because I think when you explained to me how you weren't able to visualize a lemon too, it made me understand that I had to walk people through a little bit of it in order to get them to open up a little bit more, feel comfortable. Because if I say the word meditate, it's an automatic closed door for some. So I have to say visualization, right? Because really all I'm doing is a meditation or like a hypnotherapy type thing. When I go have them go through that door, it's so that their mind takes over and they're not just following what I'm saying. Because that's the last thing I want is for them to say that they were instructed to, like, do this type of thing. I want their mind to be open, and I want whatever to happen to happen. If that means meeting somebody on the other side, or if that means going to a private space for them that they feel comfortable, then that's where it needs to go. But with you, in your mind, when you do these practices, how has it opened you up to your own gifts? And do you have any? Have you been able to open them?
Well, for hypnotherapy specifically, it was a process. I did have a few sessions where I was like, what do you mean? What?" And I was trying to force it. I was really trying to see him. And there were a couple times I would feel his presence, but I
Mhm.
didn't like get what I was wanting. And it was actually a hypnotherapy session when we weren't planning on trying to access him that he came to me. And it was just fully being able to like surrender and let go.
Yeah.
And as far as specific gifts, I do believe I've had, I don't know how to call it, but like psychic tendencies all
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
There's been many moments between my son and I that we say the same thought when, that what the other was about to say.
Mhm.
And the most specific thing was the dream I've talked about. I had a recurring dream for years that my husband was leaving me, and I would feel like I was crying the whole dream. But the whole premise is that he wouldn't talk to me or give me an explanation. And that was what was so hard. I couldn't get a hold of him. And after he passed away, it really felt like life was that dream and that that was my higher self preparing me for this grief and having a knowing that my conscious brain didn't. And then since that, yes, the more you delve into this world, the more open your mind becomes to these things. And I don't know also how to label it, but there's been times I have demanded a song and received it on the spot. So that's got to be something.
I find that you have this story about, you were mad I don't know if you wanna share it or not, about the dream that you had and you were demanding something of your husband.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so the dreams have progressed as time has gone on and gotten worse at times and better. It's interesting how they've evolved since he's been gone. My subconscious mind does understand he's gone. But I did have one kind of recently where he was going to walk right past me and was looking at a beautiful woman, and I got his attention. And when he saw me, he did give me like a sad little hug, but he was going to continue on and leave towards the beautiful woman, and it left me feeling bothered for a couple days. So I told him maybe 2 nights later, or I don't know, it was the next night, "Fix it, Keenan," right before I went to bed. And I don't remember my dreams usually unless it's those early morning, you wake up and then go back to sleep times. And that's what happened. And I had a visitation dream after that. It's no getting around it. It just was him. We were in my kitchen and I could feel his body. He hugged me for a very long time. And it was as real of a hug as we've ever had.
That's so great. Yeah, and he fixed it.
He fixed it. He's
He
dead.
fixed it. He gave you that attention that you wanted.
Yeah.
I feel like he is such a sweet, kind soul. I really do. When we got together for coffee and a breakfast, he came through. He was coming through even before I even got to the restaurant, and so, um, I felt his soul, and he just felt so kind and so warm, and I love that type of soul, like, it feels like chocolate chip cookies and a warm hug,
That's
like,
right.
all the time, and so I can understand why, it must be so hard for you to not have him physically here. But isn't there something to be said about the connection that you still have, even when they pass it? For me, I haven't lost my husband, so I don't know what that feels like. But I can empathize. I have lost people that I love, and I feel closer to them almost like I can access them at any time. And I feel so like so close. Sometimes they don't have boundaries.
Yeah.
I'll be taking a shower and become aware of my father-in-law there. I'm like, I'm kind of not wearing any clothes.
Yeah.
You didn't want me to take care of you when you passed or before you passed, and we had to really take care of you. You didn't want me to do that. You allowed everybody else but me, and now you're standing here while I'm trying to take a shower, you know? But
Yes.
for them, they're not bodies anymore. They don't see things like this.
Yeah.
So, tell me how you feel so close and connect or do you feel closer to him now that he's on the other side? Like, tell me what you feel.
I think that's beginning recently, yes.
Mhm.
At the very start, you can't see things like that through your
Yeah.
grief.
Yeah.
I remember saying to some friends, like, I was mad at that saying, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. I thought,
Yeah.
but isn't ignorance bliss? Like, I know what I'm missing, and that's terrible. But it didn't take long for me to turn that around because I know a lot of people don't get that love in a lifetime. And it has not only shaped me, but allowed me to be somewhat okay through my grief for our son, and now allowed me to access this complete awakening and world that I wouldn't have. It's almost like a gift that he's given me. I would go back to being asleep in a heartbeat to have him back. But to answer your question, yes, at this point, a year and a half after he's been gone, I do feel closer with him. And there's people that say, you're keeping him like stuck here. And I just know that that's not the case.
No.
I've had a couple medium sessions, and I just know in my heart where he has told me, I'm never leaving you. And that's something
Mhm.
he used to say to me all the time. And especially when he was sick, he started saying it again, I'm never leaving. And he even said in one, you can't get away from me. and and I just know because I know that's what he wants, and I
Yeah.
believe that spirit can be, many places at once. So he can be doing the work that he needs to keep doing where he is, but also be with me and help guide my son and I still.
Have you considered something else maybe?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean that maybe he was so we all have soul contracts, right? You
Yes,
understand that. Okay. So maybe your contract was that he would go first and that would trigger your awakening. And in
absolutely.
your awakening, he would be still instrumental helping you from the other side so that you could then help more people.
I know this to be true. I do.
Yeah. I feel like yeah, it just feels that way for me. I don't think we talked about it that day, but I feel like you have a bigger purpose, just like me. And our voices are very important to helping people understand what they're feeling, what they're thinking, linking it all together. Cause you've been doing all these, like me, all these things to understand what's happening to you, right?
Mhm.
And now we can take our analytical minds, our very analytical minds, be open to this thing and help other people understand the pieces and the steps, right? So tell me, what do you think?
I'm still piecing together how I am going to help people, but yes, I absolutely agree. Um, and I'm learning while I'm piecing it together. So I'm taking an energy healing course right now, and I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of the reading for that is tying into all of this. Um, I have written books. I'm writing right now kind of my
Yeah.
story that I feel like might help people, and also have been really drawn to writing children's books that I'm working on getting published. Because when we received children's books for grief for my son, he thought they were all too sad and didn't even want to look at them.
Right.
And by offering these books that focus more on receiving signs and a little bit of more of the magic behind the grief, I think it can help a lot of people.
I do too, but I think your voice is pretty important. I think your story is very important. I think you might underestimate yourself.
I'm doing a lot of things right now.
No, I realize that, but I'm just planting a seed because when you pull it all together eventually, know that I said that because I'm telling you, there's something about your insistence with your videos and your like you demand Keegan to respond to you. It's almost like you're demanding people hear you in a way that's not really a demand. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, well, at first it was like, um, I was a little too concerned with what other people think. And there's so many people that you come
Mhm.
across in your day to day life or that were already in your life that have no understanding of any of this. And they, will belittle it. And so I would phrase things in a way like it felt like I visited with him in a hypnotherapy session. And over time, I came to realize this is just the truth for me. So it is, I actually was visited by him.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's what I came to realize. So it's people can take it for what they will, or everybody's going to have different opinions all the time. But this is the truth for me.
Yeah. How are your relationships with other people in your life? How has that changed? Or did it change?
That was something I was actually really proud of before anything happened. My husband and I actually were born and raised in the same town, went to the same elementary school, and started dating in high school. And we both have very solid groups of friendships from our childhood. Um, and I feel like that's pretty unique. I haven't met a ton of people who have these solid group of friends from childhood, and my friends are angels. They are my best friends. I find it harder to talk to people that were already in my life because they
Mhm.
haven't been doing all of the learning I've been doing. So sometimes I have to compartmentalize my relationships.
Mhm.
But I find more that it's causing everybody around me to open up and become a little more awake. And I do think I've come to this realization recently that he and I are still a team, most likely because of this soul contract that we decided this was the plan. And we are working both together to awaken all the people around us and carry them through this with us. So
Yeah.
even people like that I thought weren't spiritual at all or didn't have any capacity to learn about any of this are opening up around me.
Imagine what it would have been like in the 70s, each decade, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It's like almost every decade as people started to experience certain things. I remember watching like Oprah episodes, and like, um, I can't say her name correctly. Ilanya, I can't say her name, but she's this very spiritual, like she's like a guru now. Um, Oprah and her were talking about things back then,
I think I
and
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, Ilanya, and she's. I mean, these things were going on. Shirley MacLaine back in the '80s, like having her awakening. So each decade, it's like more and more people are seeing things and opening up to the truth, right? This oneness, this universe, the universe, and communicating with their loved ones more frequently. And I'm like, there's a reason for this, you
Oh,
know?
for sure.
There's a reason and a purpose, and it's like, I feel like it's gathering this momentum right now with more and more people embracing it, and as we become more insistent and share our stories, it becomes more normalized, and so that's another thing I know for sure.
Like
That's a
the
download
new
I
birth.
got, and this is why our stories are really important to share because the more people because people will dismiss stuff. They'll dismiss that song. They'll dismiss it as a coincidence. They'll dismiss it as a like, you see the magic in it. I do too. And
A
then
lot
there's
of times
people.
I think people have to have their own experience, and
Yeah,
that's why you can't like force it upon anybody. But by
right.
telling your story, I think it does help people because that's what helped me is to just read so many separate accounts of NDEs or,
Yeah,
just past life regressions or other people's stories. And it was like putting a puzzle together.
yeah. It's like you're offering an invitation and they have to piece it together. Yeah, it's
They
exactly
have to
right.
be looking for it. My husband's parents, were from the generation of, I think most generations before us didn't really talk about feelings. And when a terrible thing happened, they would kind of just not
Bottle
talk
up.
about it. My husband's mother actually lost her brother um, when he was 29. And so it's just like these family kind of karmic things. And then also his father lost his father at the age of 4.5, just like our son lost his father at the age of 4.5. And both of their families didn't discuss these things. So it just became years of like bottled up grief. And, they're telling me that they're happy that we talk so much about their son. We have such open conversations. It's helping them open up more, and it's really helping his mom to talk about it.
How does she feel about you and the communication, your gifts? So, like, is she starting to awaken herself? Do you
Yeah.
wanna share her experience a little bit? I don't wanna invade somebody else's privacy, but I was just curious.
Yeah, I at first didn't know. I didn't know, but she was actually the one who recommended and gave me the book A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, which was
Mhm.
one of the key parts of my awakening. So I knew she had it in her, and the more we talked about it, the more I found out she was spiritual. She already knew he was okay wherever he was. She just felt bad for us here. And she said, I just don't ever talk about these things. And so her and I are actually best friends now. And yeah, we're like together in this kind of awakening. And she had an accidental mediumship experience that was really profound as well.
Do you wanna share it?
Sure. Is the medium Rebecca Rosen. She's written some books as well that have really helped me. But we hadn't heard about her at the time. I had already had one experience with a medium that was really helpful for me personally. And this was maybe 8 months after he passed away. She told me that she got a random last minute ticket that morning to go see a medium that was going to be at a bookstore. And we didn't know who she was. Um, and I just knew when she told me that she was going to be picked. That was a moment of just clear knowing. And she went, there was about 100 people, and she sat in the back. All the other people there were fans and knew Rebecca. And my mother in law was the first one to be chosen. The medium said somebody came to her in a dream the night before, and let's just meditate and see what comes up. And of course, my husband's the first one that comes up, very insistent.
Yeah.
And she kind of had that, freeze where you just your heart's racing and you just can't even think, but it's recorded, and I was just astounded by what she said. She got the twos and the fours for his death date. She referenced his middle name, which he and my son share. She said his paternal grandfather was with him, who's the one that my father-in-law never met, or I'm sorry, he passed when my father-in-law was 4. And she said, he helped him on like his soul journey. She talked about the tattoo that I had just gotten. She talked about our white dog and how she sees our dog seeing him still, which I had felt. And the most profound thing was at the beginning, she had said he was apologizing. And that was normally her sign for somebody, if they had made different decisions in this life, they might still be here. Like, if they were doing drugs or if they committed suicide or something like that. And my mother-in-law, she said she didn't really know what that meant, but my husband did make some choices. Like, he was pretty sedentary towards the last couple years of his life. Like, I felt like he could have been eating better. So that was really scary for us to hear, that he was saying sorry to her. And then she almost interrupted herself a few minutes later and said, I'm sorry. No, he's apologizing for making this decision before he came here. So he's like apologizing for like a soul contract. And that was the
Yeah.
second, no, that was maybe the third time I had heard a separate person call this our soul contract.
Wow. Wow. That's yeah. And I felt like that was the case too. This is why I just brought it up too. I think I might have heard that before, but I didn't have it consciously in the front of my head, just to be completely truthful when I said it. But I do know that you two are still so very bonded. That is what I do know. I mean, I felt it that day and I still feel it from you now.
And I had a little bit of guilt when I started learning that. Like, did he die so that I could fulfill these purposes? But that's not the case. I feel
No.
like it can also be like clearing up whatever his, family karma or whatever it was a decision we both apparently made. And sometimes I get mad at my higher self for choosing
Yeah.
this.
Right. It's like, but we once we're there, we're gonna have all the other. There's purpose in it, but our souls are here to learn, evolve, and grow. So he had already served his purpose, whatever that was. Even though you may not your human side may not like that, answer.
Yeah. Yes,
That's the truth.
his life was to love my son and I, and he did that excellently.
But maybe he's still serving out his purpose. That's
Yeah,
why I raised the question about maybe you have a higher purpose yourself and he's supporting you in that,
absolutely. I feel that way.
which isn't selfish. Don't think that's selfish.
I asked the last medium that I had a reading with, can he clue me in to what we're doing? And she did say, like, he's still doing some learning where he is as well. It
Right.
doesn't just this isn't the only part of the learning we do. It's also there.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so funny. Can he clue me in?
Like,
Thanks.
while you've got him on the phone.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I, do you find that people are more receptive or less receptive in the area that you live in of your gifts, of your thoughts, of your spirituality?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. My husband and I moved here. It's about 30 minutes away from our hometown. I would say in our hometown, it's very open. Here might be a little less, but I haven't met too many friends outside of my son's
Mm,
school yet. And that's like a little kind of bubble of like minded people, I think. Um, one of my closest friends that I've made so far, another mom at his school, was raised very religious. And as she got older, she completely pushed religion away because it had been traumatic for her. And at first, when I would open up about certain things, she was a little standoffish. She felt like it was too close to religion. And the more I've talked about it, she has told me that she thinks I came into her life for a specific reason to open her up to kind of these things. And it's been really cool to watch.
yeah, and I feel that from you, but you'll know more once you start diving a little deeper into whatever it is that you're here to do. Um, I do have a question though. What's one of the coolest signs or communications that he's sent you?
Hmm.
Or what's one of your favorites? There's been so many.
There have. I mean, the owl is pretty cool. I guess the owl after well, okay, there's a couple. The owl after it became a definite sign, because I have never seen one in my life and now they appear all the time. But my son is aware that this has been a sign from his dad. And again, he started kindergarten shortly after he died. And maybe halfway through the school year, there was like a commotion when I picked him up, and everybody was excited because there was an owl that had flown into the palm tree at the school, and everybody was watching it. And this was during the day. And I just thought, are you serious? And of course, that was cool enough on its own that this owl started showing up at the school after this all happened. But I found out this year, after the owl appeared again, that last year was the first year that owl ever came to the school. So, like, the first year the
Wow.
sun came, that was the first year the owl started appearing. So
Wow.
I know he watches over him at school.
That's really cool.
And then
That's
another
sad.
cool one was when before he died, we had again, I had been sort of open-minded, so we discussed, like, signs just a tad, and we had said, I guess crows because you've always liked crows, so send me a crow if anything happens to you. And, then at his ceremony, his celebration of life, his mom started speaking and 2 hawks just started screeching and dancing above her head, and the entire crowd gasped. It was just like everybody
Wow.
felt. And then after that, hawks started appearing, like, at the perfect moments all the time. So he was like, "I'm not a crow, I'm a awesome hawk."
Imma correct you right now. And then you have a connection to Harry Potter, right? Like, you love Harry Potter. You and your husband love Harry Potter. That's why the owl is so significant, right?
I didn't even think about that actually.
Interesting. I
But
thought
Harry
maybe that was why that connection was there.
No, I just randomly asked for something I had never seen before. But of course, that's not a coincidence, right?
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. That's how it works. They have to put the thoughts in our head to get you
Yeah.
to the next piece. And that's kinda how readings work too for me, and you'll learn for yourself. I'm sure if you continue to go down this path. It's like you get one piece, so you make a statement, then you get the next piece, then make that statement, then you get the next piece. It's like every piece goes to the next. So that's
Yeah.
how the signs kind of work too, with how they come to you through your
Our
thoughts.
cat and mouse thing was
Oh,
pretty.
cat and mouse thing was pretty good. That was pretty good. Yeah.
Should we talk about that?
You can if you want. I'm not here for my own glory. I'm literally
I don't
putting
feel like
you on
that's
the
your
stage.
glory. I feel like that is a perfect example of how things can make sense later after a
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
So we met, like you said, we just had coffee and breakfast, but he came
Right.
through a couple times, and there was a couple really cool other instances that I've talked about on my TikTok. The coolest one to me was when you started referencing Tom and Jerry and asking about cat and mouse. And then you asked if we were kind of like that when we were dating. And I said yes. I unintentionally made him chase me like cat and mouse. And then I left it there thinking that was the end of it. And I came home and was making my son dinner that evening. And like I said, songs just pop into my head all the time. It might be my form of clairaudience, but I get many songs a day that I don't know where they came from. And I just started humming this song and kind of half singing it. And then I realized I haven't thought about this band in forever. This song is called Cat and Mouse, I think. And I ended up looking it up, and it was this band that he showed me in high school and would play for me in his car. And it was this emo band that had a beautiful ballad called Cat and Mouse that we would listen to. And then I referenced the lyrics, and was him putting that song in my head or in your head or whichever order. But
In
the
our
lyrics,
head. Yeah.
the third line of the song was, I said I'd never leave, which is the quote that he says. And then it went on to say, you said that you would die for me, but you must live for me too. And that's just been the theme of the messages I'm getting is I have to try to find happiness and keep living.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And he's telling you, I'm still here.
And at the
Said it
time, I just was like, oh, yeah, cool cat and mouse, game of chicks until
later
that.
that night.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing you couldn't understand was this arch of blue balloons. And I
Yeah.
saw it on the way to the meeting and I knew it was him. I felt him. Like I just knew because I
Yeah.
wasn't meeting anyone else. I had no other plans to be with anyone else outside of my immediate whatever. And so I was like, this is random. This feels like spirit. This is interesting. So I brought it up after asking permission in case anything would come through. And you said yes. You want to tell them what that was? Because you couldn't place it when we were
No, and you
together.
were very insistent. And I
Yes, I
know by
was.
now that you can't write anything off, especially when somebody's very insistent like that. You said it maybe 3 or 4 times. You said, okay, we'll just keep thinking about that later. And then
Which
I
I
couldn't.
normally don't do. Normally, it's a story that's unfolding, but he kept showing it to me. So I was like,
Yeah, and that had a double
gotta be
meaning
something.
because I just looked it up when I got home because I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I looked up the symbolism of a blue balloon arch, and it was, like, talking about a gateway through, like, teamwork between heaven and earth and awakening and, like, a gentle divine guidance through this awakening process, and it was basically just describing me and my journey.
That's
So I
right.
already thought that was really amazing. And then when I reached out to tell my sister about this experience, right when I said blue balloon arch, she gasped. And I said, what? I haven't even said anything yet. And she told me that she had asked my husband for a blue balloon specifically. And I told her, he gave you a whole arch.
That's right. He gave you a whole arch because that's how spirit is. It's so intelligent. It is so intelligent because it has multiple meanings. Each
Yeah.
object or each thing can have multiple messages. Just like I was thinking, I was seeing Jerry. I was like, Tom and Jerry, like the cat chasing the mouse. I'm like, you must be Jerry and he must be Tom chasing you, because that's how it felt. I was just kind of rolling with it as he described in his story about your love, because then I saw you pregnant in bed and him doting over you and like taking care of you. And then you were so miserable and he was just so patient. And then rubbing your legs and then your feet. And I was seeing your feet swell and your legs swell and like what he was trying to help with circulation and your pain and all this stuff. But then it had a more recent meaning too. And it's just all these things. It just kept going. It's like they do these things where it's like one piece can go to the next. And I'm not going to know all the meanings because I'm getting Pictionary
Yes.
and trying to play charades.
And you
So,
would have never known, but the foot thing is something like really big that I'm going through right now. And I'm in a lot of foot pain and it affects your whole life when your feet hurt. You can't
right.
walk without the pain. So and you told me before I told you that, you said, he says he still massages your feet.
Yeah,
And
that's right. Yeah. He still massages your feet.
and I've been spending hours at night, like on the ball or on the roller. And that made me feel really good. Like he's here with me still in
Yeah.
those moments.
Yeah. And I didn't know this, but you 2 kinda switched roles. So when he was passing, you were rubbing his legs and feet to
Yes.
help. So it's this beautiful balloon arch, right, of your life together, which is why I'm thinking I then saw you 2 cutting the cake. It's like you're still a team
Yeah.
because there was a football on that cake. That cake has team meaning. You're still a team.
I mean, he was such a football guy too. Like, makes so much sense.
Well, on what you don't know, viewers, listeners, is that I had a football in my cake for my wedding. She had a Harry Potter cake, but I had a football in my cake.
It was Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Lord of the Rings. Thought you said Harry Potter. Lord of the Rings. And I had a football thrown into my wedding cake, and but the one that I was seeing was a sheet cake, just a flat one. So that was interesting. So I knew he wasn't talking about my wedding cake or your wedding cake, but he showed it to me in a way that we later put together. So that's it's kind of cool how he did that, how he showed you. And I had no clue because for me, again, it's playing trying to play charades. I'm the person guessing what they're drawing, and they're not great at drawing things. So sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. I have loved having you. There's still so much to talk about, but I know that you need to get moving on with your day. I've so appreciated your time. Do you want to let the viewers know what you're up to next and maybe how to reach you if they want to kind of get in contact with you or maybe purchase a book down the road?
Well, I'm on TikTok as Separated Soulmates, Sam. And yeah, I'm mostly putting things out on there right now. I have a lot of behind the scenes stuff, like the energy healing course that I'm doing. But the children's books are in the works, and I will be posting about them for sure.
Well, let me know, and any way that I can help you, I'm going to because I know they're going to be great
Thank you.
because you're great.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today, Sam. And for all of you, have a wonderful week, and we will be back with you next week. Take care, everybody.